This is Tuesday, January 3rd, 2023, regular meeting of the Cabell County Board of Education. Welcome to everyone. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Mr. Miller?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We'll begin with the informational items and our favorite part of the program every time, special celebrations. Mr. Flowers.
Good evening, Madam President, Madam Vice President, board members, Superintendent Sachs, and of course, Counselor. We're very excited to have these wonderful people with us this evening to celebrate some great accomplishments. First of all, we're going to recognize the AAA State Cheer Competition at Cabell Midland High School. The Cabell Midland High School cheerleaders recently competed in the WVSSAC State Cheer Competition at the Cam Henderson Center in Huntington. The cheer team won regionals in Parkersburg, West Virginia to qualify to compete at the state. This was the first time under head coach Ashley Hayes that the team qualified for the state cheer competition, earning 7th place in its inaugural outing. Coach Hayes remarked how the team put in 5 to 6 days per week of practice and emphasized how it takes a lot of hard work and dedication to develop a bond with each other. And of course, we want to introduce the cheerleaders. Please come forward. We've got Kaylin Simpson, Maggie Tatum, Lainey Bartram, Savannah Phillips, Ellie Goldie, Edie Gue, Michaela Mayo, Hannah McComas, Kendall Witt, Abby Willis, Mackenzie Morrison, Shay Danzy, Leah Moore, Madison Meadows, Belle Thompson, and Kaylin Gibson. Of course, our head coach, Ashley Hayes, and the assistant coaches, Stacy Long and Shelley Phillips. Will you please come forward? And Coach Hayes wanted to say a couple of things.
My goodness, what beautiful girls.
Beautiful. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my lands.
Hello. Okay.
Hi.
Hi. My name is Ashley Hayes, and I am the head cheer coach here at Cabell Midland High School. I've also been a teacher in Cabell County for 5 years now, and I currently teach at Cabell Midland as well with special education. This is my 10th year coaching total in the county, and my 4th year coaching Cabell Midland as the head coach. Our squad consists of 32 cheerleaders total. However, only 13 get to take the mat and compete, and this is who is on the mat this year. Midland Cheer has not made it to state competition in over 7 years. This season, I think what helped us make it to our goal is the girls came in, worked super hard, and decided we wanted to put Midland back on top. Our first competition, we competed at MSAC's in Hurricane. We placed 4th out of 10 teams total. We competed again the following weekend at competition at George Washington, and we placed 1st out of 4 teams. Then competed the following weekend at regionals in Parkersburg, like he said, and we placed 1st out of 7 teams. And this was the first time, and I think ever, that Midland actually walked away as the regional champions. So I think that that's super awesome.
Yeah.
States was held, like he said, at Marshall University, and we placed 7th. You know, it takes a lot of time, heart, and energy to be a high school cheerleader. We start our season August 1st, and we don't get to end until the end of March. I'm super proud of how hard these girls work this season. They're working all year round to better themselves, and I can't say how lucky I am to be their coach. I'm so proud and hope everything we accomplish, and I hope to do it again next year. So thank you for having us.
Thank you, Ashley. The girls are lucky to have you. And your assistants. I don't know them, but I know you for years. Yeah. she's a real go-getter, so I'm not surprised at all. I did attend the state championship, and you guys made a wonderful showing. I did not agree with the outcome, but doesn't matter what I think. But nevertheless, you have everything to be proud of, and we're proud of you. I want y'all to know
You're
that.
here, yeah.
What a
Oh,
way to
my
represent
goodness.
us. Did a great
Oh,
job.
my goodness.
And we're going to do a photo right after our next recognition. You can hang out there if you want to, or you can sit down in between if you want to. Okay.
Oh, I was looking at this picture that you have up, and I have to admit that it makes my stomach turn, how high you all are up in the air. Oh my goodness. Just, oh my
Fantastic,
lands.
isn't it?
Look at that. Look at how high they are. I could never. I mean, it just, why, I'm very impressed.
Oh, back in the day, I think you could.
I don't know. That's very high.
Yeah. It makes my stomach
It like,
turn too. to
I feel
think
like I'm
those
on a
girls
roller
are up in
coaster
the
looking
air.
at that. Oh, I don't handle it well. I'm glad you all can do it. That is fantastic. The talent, the time that you have
Oh.
put in is just very well done.
Yeah, you're to be congratulated for everything that you do. I mean,
I can't
like
really look
like
at
Alyssa said, Mrs. Bond said, that just makes my stomach turn
Oh.
to see those girls flipping up in the air. I mean, you all are pros. You are pros, and you're so beautiful, each and every one of you.
Seriously.
They're so beautiful.
Oh, my
Yes.
lands.
I'm proud. I'm proud to say that you won this competition. You deserved it.
They represented
Regional
Midland well.
champs.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well done.
Awesome. Thank
So
you
we're
all
gonna-
very
we're-
much.
We're gonna have them come back up for a picture here in a second.
Yes, we'll have them come back
So
in just
I have a
second.
special request. What, as you go back to, I know, listen, it's always something with me. As you go back, could you all come up with, when you come back up for a picture, maybe you could do a cheer for us?
Yay!
Could y'all,
Say
could y'all
yes.
put your heads together and
Say
say,
yes.
Don't
do a
throw
little cheer
yourselves in
for
the
us?
air and hear
Yeah,
that.
no aerial stunts, no
Aerial.
stunting, but maybe just lead us, the board here in a cheer. Would that work?
Yeah.
All right, you all think about it, and then after this next presentation, you'll
Goodness,
come on
not
back
that
up for a
high.
picture.
I don't think I could handle it, right?
Yeah, I don't think my
Don't do
stomach
that
would
one.
handle it.
Ooh,
I don't think my nerves could take it.
no, I feel like I've gone over a hill, you know?
What? Listen, it's cool. I don't care.
We
Is
have a
that
bit of
baby
a
doll?
make do next. We did not realize that there were two winners from Cabell County in the First Lady State Ornament Competition.
Oh.
Huntington High had let us know, and then since then we found out that Cabell Midland had a winner as well. And they were tied for first place. The First Lady Student Ornament Competition is a holiday tradition hosted by West Virginia First Lady Kathy Justice. Encourages students across the state to submit ornaments around a special theme. This year's theme was Nutcrackers, and the winners displayed in the Great Hall of the Culture Center in Charleston, along with all the other ornaments that were submitted. The First Lady Student Ornament Competition had over 280 entries, and it's the most entries the competition has ever received. And the first place in grades 9 through 12 division of the competition was a three-way tie with two Cabell County Schools winners representative. We showed you last week Serenity McNeely of Huntington High School. She had this lovely mouse ornament. We showed you that at the last board meeting.
Jeez, it's
Very, very beautiful. And then the other first place winner and our special honorees today are the members of the theater and engineering classes at Cabell Midland High School under the leadership of teachers Tim James and William Kinney Salter. The class's ornament features a dramatic flair complete with a stage and a furry protagonist, of course, that is Baby Dog.
Baby dog, yeah.
Lifting a sword, swashbuckling, a sparkling sword. Students participating are, and please come forward, students, Morgan Hunter, senior. Samantha Pay, senior. Annalise Luther, senior. And Kara Stevens, who I understand sketched the ornament, junior. And Mr. James, of course, and Mr. Salter are both here. Of course, Miss Daniels is here with us as well tonight from Cabell Midland High School. So we're very proud of you guys. And one of you was going to speak a little bit about the ornament, or, oh, no, Mr. James said you were going to each talk about what you did. So will you please make your way here and let us know your name?
Hi, I'm Morgan Hunter. I'd like to say I bedazzled it,
Oh.
and I helped find the design for Baby Dog.
Oh,
Very good.
Once it was 3D printed, it was given to me, and I took it home and I painted it, and I helped glue some things on too.
Very cool.
Great job.
Hi, I'm Annalise. I did all the glitter.
Yay.
Yeah.
Oh, it will be forever. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Kara Stevens, and I did the sketch and research of Baby Doc to find the most perfect likeness of, our
You did a
dear
good
governor's
job.
dog.
Oh, it's
Thank
great.
you.
And I understand from Mr. James that the governor himself liked this ornament, because naturally it was Baby Dog.
Baby Dog.
But also it combined the engineering and theater classes, which he found very interesting as well. So their cooperation there at Cabell Midland.
I love it.
It's a beautiful ornament, guys. Now, we'll have you guys come on forward if you want to go ahead and do your picture since you're standing up. We always start with the back ones. And Mr. James, Mr. Salter, and Kelly, Ms. Daniels, will you all please come forward and join them?
I can see why there was a tie, because both of those are fantastic. Oh. Lands. Oh, I didn't wear heels today. Oh, Lord forgive me. Go Huntington, sorry.
I'll tell Chris it.
Bye-bye. Thank you all for coming.
Bye-bye.
Chris, don't publish it. I'm sure they will. That's all right. That's okay.
That's going to be on the news. You know it. Oh.
Thank all the Cabell Midland students and parents for being here tonight. We really appreciate you. and certainly your children. Have a nice evening. We'll be right here.
Yeah.
Instruction and leadership.
I have no cheer.
Oh,
Had I had enough time, I would have thought of one that they could
you
have
could
done.
have brought your baton.
I could have brought my baton. Yes, I could have.
I could have too.
I don't know if my equilibrium would let me do the things I used to do. Okay, so if you'll turn in your notebook under instruction and leadership, I'm going to have my executive directors come up and just kind of update you on our after-school programs that we've been offering with our URSF ARP funding at this time. Kristen? Miss Giles? She's not paying attention.
Come on down.
I am a winner. Well, good evening. So in your folders there, under instructional update, you will have 3 documents that look like this, one for each programmatic level. So you should be looking at the elementary one. So we have in elementary just kind of a plethora of different things going on, from tutoring to robotics. At Explore, you have like a little art, music, theater, STEM. You have all these different things, and all the children sign up for different things. Versus like a Spring Hill that has a 21st century grant where they do like a rotation of things. So they get a little bit of math, reading, science, healthy choice stuff, so theirs is a little bit more of a rotation, whereas like at Explore Academy, and you will see there on their on the handout there kind of an idea of about how many kids are participating in each one of those programs. We have tutoring going on in about, you'll see 6, 7 of our schools there on the yellow side there that we have participating in tutoring, but you also have tutoring going on in some other areas as well. We also have some extra offerings like jump rope team. Village has a huge jump rope team, and they participate at the Marshall Games, halftime at the Marshall Games. They also did a new Pirates Crew choral group this year, and I went and saw their music program. It was awesome. They did and then there are several that have good news clubs around the county as well. So questions about anything?
Is the book club like a battle of the books? Or is it just...
The book club is at, you know what? I will have to ask them on how. I don't think so. I know at Cox Landing we did do like a battle of the books, but I think theirs is more a reading type book club. I don't think there's a battle, but I could ask. I'm not sure about that. Let me find out for you.
I know on the middle school level, it's a battle of the books.
Yes, those are super fun.
We are studying the details of everything, but okay, very fun.
Yes,
Good.
but I'll find out for sure on that for you. Okay, middle school.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hi.
So I just wanted to, you're going to see a page that looks similar to this, this blue for the middle schools. And we've got just a variety of different things. We actually allowed the schools to kind of choose what the teachers are willing to sponsor, what the students were interested in, surveyed the students, different things like that. So you're going to see everything from, they're all going to have, after school tutoring. Some of them, some of them have robotics. You see a news team, archery at some of these schools. Leo Club is very popular at Barbersville. I remember they actually did a presentation a couple years ago about some of the things that they've done in the community. I've been able to attend a lot of these things. I know at Barbersville Middle School, they've got the musical theater, which if you ever get the chance, I know Miss Smalley, you were able to go see. It was
it Beauty and the Beast?
The Beauty and the Beast last year. They did a. You would not know that these were middle school kids putting on that production. It was absolutely amazing. The National Junior Honor Society at Huntington East, various different things on here. Those are just all the different offerings. at each of these schools, and the kids are really enjoying this. Because a lot of these students, they may not be all participating in athletics, but they've got the opportunity to participate in all these other after-school activities that really keep them connected with the schools. In turn, also building those relationships with the students. On the right-hand side of this is all of the athletics that we have offered. We've got a lot of our student athletes actually still participate in these other things as well. So it just gives our students another opportunity around the district to connect with their school. Now, what you don't have in front of you are the numbers of some of these things, of how many people are actually attending. And if you ever want to see that, I'd be more than happy to share that with you. But some examples of that, we've got a game club where they're playing different board games, or they might actually be doing some video games. Some of the students are really tuned into that. We've got about 24 students that are participating in that at Huntington East. Archery at all the schools is getting ready to start, but they're putting the poles in, so they've not started that in any of the schools yet, but that's coming here in the next few weeks. Leo Club at Barbersville Middle has about 50 students participating on average. Musical theater, 60 students participating, which sounds like a lot, but the productions are they're just top notch. You would think they were high school, collegiate level stuff going on. Robotics at Barbersville Middle has 23 students participating on a regular basis. History Bowl at Huntington Middle, 12 students. Band enrichment as well. Gaming Club has around 20 students per week. And then at Milton Middle School, Beta, they usually clean house when they go to competitions in the Beta. And hey, Mr. Hardesty, I know your son was in that. What is that acronym for Beta? It just slipped my mind. Do you know off the top of your head? But it just totally slipped my mind, because I know somebody's going to ask me what the acronym is for that. I will find out and tell you exactly what it is. But a lot of it is STEM related activities and various different things and competitions that the students do. And the news club, a couple of the schools have that. So I really appreciate the board's support in having these after school programs, and all the research shows that if your student is connected and they are participating in these, this is one of the best dropout prevention measures that we can have, are these after-school programs, because it really extends beyond the classroom. The teachers have the opportunity to build those relationships. They build strong relationships with those students that are in those clubs, and it really carries on when they get to the high school level, to where they kind of find their niche and their group to carry that on and take them across the stage to post-secondary education. So any questions? All right, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Scarberry. Thank you.
And at the high school level, just as my colleagues have spoken, there are several programs that carry over and that we continue to provide for our students. At the high school level, we do provide the core subject areas tutoring, but we also are providing that opportunity for our students to recover. If there is recovery needed, they do have an opportunity to do that. And these are all after-school events. We have evening school for some of our students, and we also offer school on Saturday, for which we run transportation for those. We have additional programs such as speech and debate, band, science Olympiad, and our JROTC. Many of these after-school programs that you see here for the high school, we've had the opportunity this semester to recognize for their awards and their accolades for which they have received. We offer all of the tutoring and recovering at both of the high schools, whereas we have JROTC at Huntington High, we have the Air Force JROTC at Cabell Midland. And each of them specialize in their own areas. We have Distinguished Scholar, Beta, as Justin mentioned, and Key Club. We also offer our sports, our fall, winter, and spring sports. We tend to have more of our students, when I'm looking at numbers, we tend to have more of our students in the science and math areas when we do the after-school tutoring and the evening programs than we do the social studies or the English. Any questions for me?
Ms. Scarberry, this is not a question that, well, actually, this is a question, but I don't know that you have the answer.
Okay.
One of the things that the board members have asked about in the past has also been numbers. Do you happen to have that? And but if you don't.
I do.
Oh, perfect,
Yes.
okay.
So I wasn't sure if you wanted to give me exact numbers. I could have them broken down by each high school.
I think it would be helpful for just for contextual purposes,
Okay.
you know, of the
Absolutely.
programs, you know, at each school, what the average attendance in
Absolutely.
these programs would be, yes.
So for Huntington High School for math, the average is usually around 5 for the tutoring and recovery, but at times we have had as many as 8 to 10, depending on our need. Cabell Midland, we range anywhere from 3 to 10. In English for Huntington High, it's around 4. Cabell Midland is 6. Social Studies is around 4. For Huntington High, for Cabell Midland is 2. Science, between 8 and 10 at Huntington High. And for Cabell Midland, it's between 3 and 10, just that average range. For night school for math, for Huntington High, 2. Cabell Midland, 3. English and Social Studies is 7 to 8, and Cabell Midland is 2. For our debate at Huntington High, we range between 35 and 40, and at Cabell Midland, we have around 17. For the RTC at Huntington High, we have around 40 to 45, and at Cabell Midland, we have 15. Science Olympiad at Huntington High, we have between 8 and 10. Cabell Midland, we have 20. The honors program at Huntington High, we have 40. The beta for Cabell Midland, we have around 45. And we, one additional program that would be at Cabell Midland is the FFA, and we have anywhere between 25 and 50 students. Is that what you were seeking, Dr. Sachs?
Well, I think, but
Okay.
but I would welcome any questions that the board has to clarify those numbers, but also if there's a need for us to dig deeper and provide
Absolutely.
a follow-up, we'd be happy to do that as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I appreciate you asking that, because that is something I have wondered in the past when we're doing these after-school things. Are we making an impact? Are we reaching the students that need help? Are we providing what they need? And how many students are taking advantage of that or are able to?
Right, and in recovery, I would also look at, in comparison to how many may be being able to recover courses during the summer programs for which we provide those micro sessions. So if we didn't have the opportunity to do all of those things, those numbers might look vastly different in the fall and the spring. And probably they might be lighter in the fall than they are in the spring. There may be some kids who need to recover.
Yeah, and I just want to remind the board that, you know, this is an investment that we have made through the use of the CARES dollars. You know, when we think about the after-school programming, traditionally, the funding sources for those were for schools that were exclusively Title I. Very, very rarely were we able to provide after-school programming that was compensated to people for, you know, staff to do it unless it was voluntary, or it was already part of a specific contractual obligation that existed through the specific job. And so, what we've tried to do is just be able to expand some of the things that we've been able to do in Title I schools to all of our other schools. And so that's when you see, obviously, Cabell Midland, for example, having some of these evening programs, these evening school opportunities were programs that we were not able to offer prior to because it was specifically out of Huntington High's Title I programming. So the CARES dollars have afforded us that opportunity. And I say those things because, you know, as the CARES dollars go away, we have to be able to make decisions as to what can we sustain and what do we have to decide we may have to move back to how we implemented activities prior to the pandemic. And so that's very, very helpful information. And of course, you know, board, we want to be able to engage you all so that you have all the information that we have as we think about how we can maintain, but how we can continue to offer the very best. And I think that, you know, being able to highlight that this is what Cabell County Schools offers in the way of supplemental after-school programming for students is not something that every single school in our region can say,
there's no way.
nor can, I would also argue, some of the other surrounding school districts. this team has really tried to take a very strategic look at what we can do to offer some of these supplemental programs and to be able to compensate staff appropriately to be able to
Yeah.
facilitate those. And again, that's something that I can't promise we can always keep in place based upon our funding streams and mechanisms, but we're always looking for ways that we can fund programs like this, so.
And when I think of all of the events at the high school, we probably engage well over a fourth of our school population in any kind of evening event, whether it's sports, band, JROTC. At least 25% or 30% of our student population is in some kind of after-school activity.
Dr. Sachs, good question. The CARES money itself, do you have any idea, or maybe Drew, maybe it's a Drew question, but any idea how much longer you think that you will have the CARES dollars to actually fund these programs? We have to start making those decisions as we start looking at budgets coming up.
That's a great question. The short answer is that there is a deadline to spend those dollars, and so we have about another year.
Okay.
But what we're also trying to look at is that within the CARES dollars, there's very specific set-asides that you have to spend money on. So there's unrestricted dollars, but then there's very restricted dollars. And what we have to be mindful of is have we spent enough in the restricted categories that is a requirement from the federal government compared to the unrestricted dollars. And so Drew, myself, Tim, and Kelly, we have been working through that process as we're looking at next year's budget to see as we think about next year's budget prior to the end of the funding system, the funding mechanism, do we need to sort of have a leveled approach to how we're getting ready to end that financial resource that we have? And so making sure that we're spending enough in the restricted areas, and then of course, if we're doing okay in there, then that means that we have more unrestricted federal funds that we can use. The good thing is and one of the big restrictive budgets or parts of that budget is being able to say that we're doing things to specifically address learning loss. So there's learning loss. There's also summer programming, and is the third one, is it after school? And so those are the restrictive areas. Interestingly enough, as we were looking at the budget, we've received also several other grants for like our summer school programs that we've been able to use as opposed to the CARES dollars. So that also means that we may have to spend more money in summer programming in order to make sure we've spent the right appropriations. Mr. Rotgen at is it the January work session? The January work session will be presenting a tentative budget for you all to see for next school year, in addition to where we stand as a school district on our ESSER and our CARES dollars, to give you a sort of a here's where we're at, as we start planning for personnel season, as we look at next year's budget, here's how we're gonna have to make some decisions for you all to think about before you all actually have to approve the budget in May.
Okay.
So.
Thank you.
Oh, I realized we were finished. Hi, Mr. Hardesty.
Madam President, board members, Dr. Sachs, Ms. Myers. Just to follow up on Justin's question, BETA is not an acronym for anything. Dr. John Harris founded BETA in 1934, and it's a focus on academics, academics and service.
I'm going to tell you something. I saw him over there. As Justin was talking, he was over there Googling. I can see him real quick. I can see him.
I don't like not having an answer, so thanks, Justin.
This is why he's awesome. I know.
As far as an update this evening, I really don't have a lot to share with you. We have been working on the days off. Our grounds crew has worked as much as they can.
Yeah.
We've had some poor weather at the beginning of it, as you all know, which led to some issues at a particular building. Central City had 2 different HVAC ruptures in their return lines, which flooded 10 different classrooms.
Oh, God.
And it's one of those things you don't know until it starts thawing out, and then it starts flowing. But they spent several days there getting that cleaned up and ready for everyone to come back tomorrow. So outside of that, we did serve approximately 225 meal boxes last week, where we let people sign up for those. So we distributed about 225. And on the agenda today, we have a very large change order at Heights Saunders. And I have included in your packet all of the specific information for that, because I thought it best just to give you all of the information on a breakdown for each one of those. And I gave a little explanation of what some of that is. But really, this centers around the issue that we had with the ductwork in the classroom. We felt like it was too low as it was designed. And so that relocating that, as we did at the beginning, takes care of the heat and air in the classroom and the classroom functionable. The problem is that some of the sprinkler heads that are already installed have to be moved, and some of the lighting has to be moved. And the lighting that does have to be moved, some of that is going to create shadows in certain areas of the room. We were just concerned about making the upgrades that we have to the school and actually spending money to have old lights moved. And so what you see here is the largest portion of that change order is actually new LED lights in each classroom. And while that's before our plan to do that, we felt like that was the best course of action instead of moving and shifting around inside the classroom the old lights. We felt like this will take care of that. You'll notice the other things on there is the moving of the fan coils, which were, again, we moved those based on moving the ductwork, and we tried to tuck all of those out of the way up into the corner of the classroom. Of course, when you do that, that necessitates several different subcontractors touching those because the electrical portion, the mechanical portion, and also the installation. We added they call them a hydrant. It's really a hose bib on the roof because we have 4 rooftop units there with the new HVAC units. Okay. And we need to be able to get water to those. And there was, with only one like it's designed, we'd have to use a 150-foot hose to reach all 4 of them. And that's really outside of what we need and what we would like to have on the roof and what's recommended. And so we've asked for a second one of those to be installed. We do have a $9,000 credit from the door changes, and those are listed in there as well. A lot of that is the hardware and things on the door, on the doors that we have. It ended up as a $9,000 credit, and that's really what they are. They're all in there separated out for you to see. Each one of the quotes from the subcontractors to Mr. Hazlett, who is the construction company. So I'll be glad to entertain any questions if you have them.
Mr. Miller?
Mr. Harsey, on the lighting aspect of it, we have the other ongoing contract, which is, improving lighting, I guess, at other schools and all that type of stuff. Could it in any way be incorporated?
That is a great question, and I wondered the same thing. We did not put Height Saunders on the ESG contract, but we wrote the contract in a way we could add more schools to it if you all chose to do that. But to be honest with you, usually when we have companies look at lighting, they start looking at like $10 per square foot on installation of new lighting, and this is going from the old to LED. This, if you calculate that, it's about $7 a square foot. So it's actually below what architects typically do, and that's one reason I felt it was better here than going with ESG and adding that to their contract.
Okay.
That makes sense.
And another question too.
I thought the same thing then.
Yeah. One question too is, as a contractor, and you go to him for a change order, he has design fees. I would assume that the contractor had some way in order to have design fees. This is a tough question. We end up paying, for some design, I guess, at Height Saunders to begin with. Does any of this design fees interact is there a design deficiency that came out of the original design that can be recouped in some way or another?
Well, they actually had to redesign what's on here, so they had to write the scope of what we were looking for to change. So we didn't have to pay extra for that, for the engineering portion of that, if that's what you're asking. I'm not sure I follow.
Can I clarify?
Yes.
I think I know what you're asking. The first thing is that the architecture fee for these projects was a flat rate.
That's
It was
correct.
not a percentage.
That's correct.
So
Okay.
it was not a percentage.
It
However,
actually was a percentage based on
The
what we
initial-
budgeted as a flat
As a-
rate, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there was not a separate
Separate.
design type fee
correct. So
associated
it's
with
not
it.
like
Correct.
someone else is profiting because they messed up.
Right,
Yeah.
right, that's,
Yes.
Good question.
Now, I do think
I didn't
it's-
follow the question. I
But I do
apologize.
think that there's another good point, though, is that there is something called errors and omissions. And that is whether it be the architect or the engineering firm. And so that there are certain things that could be held to the architect or the engineer because they made an error in the design or there was an omission in the design. And those have been several things that we've taken
Yes.
the firms to task on also.
Right. And as we tackle issues at other locations, we actually do that. These were really generated from the design they had, and if you all know all the classrooms, the ductwork was closer to the windows, and it was really going to block. We felt it was going to make it more obtrusive in the classroom and be a little lower than what it needed to be. The moving of is actually on our part. We wanted it moved because we really didn't know what it was going to look like till they hung it in there, and it was just terrible. But when we moved it, it's what really generated this.
Gotcha.
Because moving it, they already had the sprinklers in. We have to move some of those.
So you have the new windows, and it's going to block it with a new ductwork.
Exactly. Well, we're not now, though.
Not now,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you.
Forrest. And thank you for the beta research.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ready for communications from Dr. Sachs.
Thank you, Madam President and board members. It is truly a blessing to be able to be here with you today. I started the morning at Milton Middle School at 7:30, welcoming all of our middle school teachers back after the break for their middle school conference. And then I also had an opportunity today to run over to Cabell Midland and not only speak to all of the high school teachers, but I was able to sit in some professional development sessions. And by the way, when I say sit in on professional development sessions, it wasn't like I stop in and see how things are going. I sat through the whole session because I wanted to see specifically how some of them were going. And I will tell you that I can't speak for our educators, but for me as superintendent, being able to have that opportunity to sit in on some of the professional development sessions and to engage with our teachers more than I've ever had recently the opportunity, just because of the nature of the work, and was really fulfilling. It was probably more rejuvenating than the past 4 days. That might have been because I was sick, but but it was really, honestly, it was rejuvenating to be able to be with our educators, to see them learning, see them in the receiving some professional development, to see the questions that they had, to hear from them what's working with some of our programs and what they see as areas where we can improve. So it was very, very beneficial, and I really appreciated that opportunity. And you know, the message that I shared with our educators in both of our schools when I was able to speak to the large groups is that, you know, as a school district, we recognize, I should say, as a school district leadership team, myself, our team that we have assembled here at the district office, we recognize and understand what our teachers are tasked with every single day. We know that our teachers are going to have days when they walk out of the classroom and they carry with them the thoughts of a student that for whatever reason they couldn't reach, or that they have a student in their class or a group of students in their class that, based upon certain conditions in their home life, that they have big challenges they have to overcome, and that those things take an emotional toll on our teachers and our staff. We recognize that there are you know, students in our classroom that doesn't really matter what we do, they're going to be very successful. There's other situations when we've done almost everything we can think of, and we still don't know that we've reached that child, and the stress that causes onto you as a professional educator. So we recognize those things, and we also know that in everything that we do, every decision we make here at the district office, we really do make it, whether it be a recommendation to this board or a practice or a policy or even a product that we feel like we need to explore purchasing is done with the mindset of how will this help our students? How will this help our students improve? But also, how does it make the jobs of our people, of our employees, better, so that, one, they feel supported, that they feel like they have the resources necessary to be as effective as they can, and that ultimately they're happy employees, because happy employees, that translates to what goes on in our classrooms and for our students and in our schools. And so really, everything that we do at the district office, I mean, every cabinet meeting, every senior leadership team meeting where we're looking at what we, the board agenda review, those are the conversations we're having. Those are the core tenets of how we're making decisions. It doesn't mean that we're always going to make the right decision. It doesn't mean that the decisions that we make, are not going to be flawed in some way because we didn't recognize what the issue was. It doesn't mean that the decisions we're going to make are going to be popular with everybody, especially when you think about funding streams and those type of things. But we're going to always listen. We're going to always try to hear perspectives, and we're going to always try to make sure we're putting our students and our employees first. And so, as I spoke with him about that, then we turned it over to Dr. Jim Harris, who talked about mental health, how you can take care of yourself, but recognizing what we need to be able to do for our students and taking care of them as well from a social emotional aspect. And so it was a very very positive day. I felt enriched because I had the opportunity to spend the day with our educators, and so that's a little bit about what I wanted to share with you as we come back in the school year. I also said that we have a lot to be proud of that we've accomplished over the past school year and first semester, but we can't ride on that. This is the second semester. We have a big push to ensure that we're continuing to see academic growth with our students. This is really the time that we start accelerating that growth. This is the time that we really make sure that all of what we've laid out in the first part of the year, this is when the connections start really snapping. And so we have an expectation that we're gonna have a big push in the second half of the year as well, just as much as we had in the first. But we're gonna still make sure we have the resources necessary for our staff in order to complete those tasks. We recognized our students from Midland for the first Lady Student Ornament Competition this afternoon, as well as our Cabell Midland cheerleaders. So congratulations to those student groups. As I mentioned before, we've had training all throughout the county today. You'll see in some of the pictures here, we have the wonderful, fabulous secretaries from all across the county that were participating in training at the Career Center today. I tell everybody, behind every good leader or principal, there's an even better secretary that's keeping them straight. And I know the same goes for me with my phenomenal assistant over there. She keeps me on the straight and narrow, and so couldn't do my job without her, that's for sure. And then, of course, there's some artifacts of what took place in our middle schools at the middle school conference on the last set of photographs there. So, once again, I just want to thank this board for your commitment to giving us the ability to be able to provide this high-quality professional development for our teachers. Today, throughout all of our sessions, there were surveys. So Ms. Watts and her team will be reflecting upon those surveys and seeing what we got right, seeing where maybe there was some constructive feedback so that we can improve for our summer professional development series that we have. This will really go into our summer conferences and give us feedback for what people would like to see. And I will cap it off is that the last part of the training that I went today to, though, was by far the coolest. It was the AR, augmented reality headsets for mathematics. They were demonstrating it for all the math teachers at the high school level, and so I was able to put them on. And I will say that at a near future, I'll share some pictures with you because Krissa was there, and I think she got me in some interesting poses. I didn't take anybody out accidentally with my hands or anything like that, but I tell you what a cool experience that was. I mean, I don't see that is it, and we'll have to have we need to do a workshop on that for the board members. I think that would be fantastic for y'all to put those on and see how our students in today's world are going to be learning and to contextualize the mathematical principles. And it goes beyond mathematics. Where, I mean, we're looking at being able to do science and social studies, just some really, really neat stuff. But thinking about learning stuff in 3D and augmented reality, it was wild. And of course, we're the only school district in the state of West Virginia that's doing anything like this. I just want to plug that one more time. But I'm telling you what, those teachers were so excited about it, and it was really, really neat stuff. So that concludes my update for this week.
Thank you,
Any
Dr.
questions?
Sachs. I am familiar with that technology. My grandsons who live in Columbus and are autistic are benefiting from that use.
Yeah.
It really holds their attention.
I bet.
And, they're looking around like.
Have they let
that,
you try them on yet?
Mhm.
Have they let you do it yet?
Yeah, I've done
Oh,
it.
really?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Wow, that's cool.
It's
Yeah.
amazing, so.
This was my first experience. I mean, I've never had them on before. I was like, this technology exists. Wow.
Yeah,
I mean, it was cool.
It's fantastic, and it's a great move.
Yeah.
A great step
Yep.
forward. All right, we're ready for delegations to be heard.
We don't
Don't have any? All right. Board members, do you have any comments, anything you'd like to bring up this time?
I think that workshop is a great idea.
Okay.
I want to put that in there because I have never done that or experienced that, and I would really like to see. I think the aspects in engineering would be endless, and architecture, I think that would be phenomenal, and I would love to see that and be a part of that, so yay.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
President Smalley, I'd like to put one request to us from Mr. Hardesty and for Dr. Sack. As we're moving forward with these change orders, moving into construction of more projects, and we've got new contracts being awarded, is it possible to get a kind of a running spreadsheet or total of these change orders and things like that as we begin to look at these awards, so that as we review the change orders, we got some idea of what the potential impact would be to, Meadows or to Milton or to the Career Center, all that, so we can begin to, I'm sure you do it.
Absolutely,
But I'd
yes.
just like to see some of that information as background info for some of these other change orders we have in the future.
You'll notice on that one is change order number 2. Change order number 1 was a little over $5,000 for lighting at the entrance in the office that we added that we actually didn't have in the original plan. But we have a contingency set aside for all of these projects. But to be honest with you, this one does not cover, the contingency here does not cover this because we want to add new lights. But as we have a change order on there, I hate change orders, so I will be happy to show you what contingency we have and list each change order in total as we go through. So if we have another one, I don't foresee one, but if we have another one for Height Saunders, I'll go ahead and list number 1, number 2, and I'll put number 3 on there. I'll be glad to do that for all the projects,
Yeah, 'cause
absolutely.
as we again, we're at the front, and every change order,
Yes.
every Davis Creek, $17,000, which is no issues with it, those begin to tap funding that may be available for the next project down the line.
Correct.
So, and I know you're keeping a good track of it, but I'd just personally like to be. able to see some of
Absolutely.
that.
And I'll let you know what that contingency is too on each
Okay.
one as we go through, so be glad to.
That's great.
But I do track it, I'll be glad to share.
I figured you did, sir.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Miller. All right. We're ready for the 4,000 series, minutes, contracts, policies, and other items, consent agenda. Board members, are there any items you would like to discuss individually? We've just had a really good summary presented to us. Some trips to approve. That's about it. Minutes and contracts. Is anything?
No, I'll make a
Mr.
motion
Pauly?
that we just approve the 4,000 series as
Thank you,
is.
sir. Mr. Pauly makes the motion.
Second.
Mrs. Neely seconds. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. All right, we'll move on to the financial section. 5,000, tip teacher stipends. Is that the only major item in that section,
Yeah.
I believe? All right, do I have a motion on that series?
So moved.
So moved by Mrs. Bond.
Second.
Okay, second by Mr. Miller. Moving on.
Oh, you need to-
We need to vote.
Oh, sorry about that. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Unanimous? In favor. All right, sorry about that. 6,000 personnel. Rather long here. Do we need to discuss any of these listings individually? Or do you have any questions about any of this? Okay.
And I would make a
Then-
motion that we approve the 6,000 series.
All right, Mrs. Bond makes a motion, and we approve.
I'll second the motion.
Mrs. Neely seconds the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Unanimously passed. Okay. Special board items. Dr. Sachs, do we have any special board items?
We do not.
We do not? Do any board members have any special board items? All right, we shall move on. Discussion, update on current legal, okay. Legal issues, I'm getting the signal that we will need to go into executive session, so I will need a motion.
I'll make a motion that we go into executive
Thank
session
you,
to
Mr.
discuss legal
Pauly.
issues.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Pauly motions,
I'll second.
and Mrs. Neely seconds. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, we're going into executive session.
Madam President, I make a motion that we come out of executive session.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 That was Mrs. Bond.
Yes.
Seconded by Mrs. Neely. We okay?
Are we okay?
Okay. Just don't wanna rush you. All right, need that motion to come back into open session, please.
So moved.
All right, Mrs. Bond moves.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Neely. All in favor of coming back into open sessions, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That,
What?
yeah, that we already did it.
We're
Oh.
double sure now.
We just needed the one.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Raines,
We're
I'm
double
hot.
sure then.
That's right.
Yeah.
We're
We are there.
I'm gonna take us to, section 9.
Okay.
Section what time?
Section 9.
Okay.
I think it'll fit here.
yeah.
Closing items. And we need to discuss, rescheduling of our work session, which
Oh,
was previously planned, for January 16th, and that is Martin Luther King Day.
Yeah.
So we need to discuss.
Board member, or President Smalley, I have a recommendation.
Yes,
Just to
sir.
think about.
Okay.
We had already scheduled a State of the Schools on the 23rd. Ms. Watts has an opening on the 30th, so she can move the schools to the 30th. So we could move our workshop to the 23rd, starting at 3:30. And then our first day of the schools will be on January 30th, at the same time, if that works.
And what is January 30th?
It'll be
That is
State
a
of the Schools.
Monday.
It'll be the first State of the School session.
Be the first session, be number 1.
Number
Okay.
1, yeah.
Session number 1.
So if that,
Alright.
So the work session would be on the 23rd.
23rd at 3:30.
23rd, 3:30.
I can't reschedule it. Can we get another
Yeah.
calendar invite so I can reschedule that on my calendar?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't reschedule it.
Oh, you can't?
I can't.
We will make sure that you get that.
I can just do it.
All right,
Just-
board members, if you agree with that recommendation, you probably should have a motion, I believe.
I so moved.
All right, Mrs. Neely makes a motion that we accept Superintendent Sachs's recommendation for rescheduling the 16th work session. That's a mouthful.
Second.
Okay. Mr. Miller has seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. None opposed, motion carries. So we will be having our first State of the Schools on the 30th. We will have our next work session on the 23rd at 3:30.
Yes, ma'am.
And I believe,
I have one more thing.
all right,
While we're here, Ms. Raines, we're going to schedule a student discipline hearing on Monday the 9th at 11:30. Monday the 9th at 11:30 will be the student expulsion hearing.
Monday night at 11.
well, I already had written it in the wrong place.
You okay?
Okay. At 11:30.
You good?
Work that one out. All right. I think our work is completed for this evening, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, Mrs. Neely moves.
Second.
Mrs. Bond seconds. All in favor of adjournment, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Good evening, everybody.
That was from Dr. Ashley.
Yeah, Ashley,
Stevens. It's not a gift, it was a promotion that she is doing to help bring involvement to
Hey, Heather,
families and
Do you and
students.
Tim and
Ended
Kelly have
up
an
with
opportunity to
gift
sit and stay for
boxes.
1 minute
Just
after this?
leave it here.
No, it's just for you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
David and I went back there and ate again. After our small group met, that was the first time we had ever been there. It was delicious. I love it.
Where's this?
Luigi's across from our church. That's
Really?
where Big Lots used to be.
Yeah.
That is a hidden gem. Oh my goodness, it's delicious.
Really?
Yes.
Huh. I know, I mean, I hate to say it, I've always looked at it as being kind of a
I
sketchy.
had never even heard of it.
Yeah, I mean, we drove, my wife drove about, what was saw that. Oh, I know what it was. My granddaughter had a basketball game out at
New Life.
New Life. Yeah. And we drove, and we just kind of like, well, I wonder what's still in this